Okay, so I got that thing out of my system. Like I said, I don't bring it up because it's not relevant. I'm here to talk about toys. I'm here to talk about video games, and I just want to talk about anime and stuff and leave it at that. That's all I want to talk about. But even I'm human. Even I have concerns about the world. Um, yeah, this is the first time I've been on camera since early January, so I guess it bears mentioning that my niece made her grand worldwide debut in late January, and I actually went to see her at 3 weeks old yesterday. So yay! I am now officially an uncle. Yay! Um, and I got to hang on to her for about 20 minutes yesterday while late lunch was being prepared, and we kept each other warm. You know, thank God she didn't cry when she was in my arms. She slept the whole time, so that was good. So, and yes, she does look like both her parents, and she is healthy. She's got all 20 digits, and cute as a bundle. Um, I had been meaning to make a video like the day after I came back from the hospital, seeing my sister and my niece, but I don't know. I'm not quite certain why it is. I was like, I wanted to turn it into, "Hey niece, this is your uncle. I want you to see what I'm like now, as opposed to when you can actually talk and understand the things I'm saying. And maybe when you're all grown up, and if YouTube is still around at that point, you'll see this video and you'll know what your uncle Ava was like, back then compared to what he's like, the crotchety old man that he is now. Very sobering thing, and God damn it, I didn't need to hear this, but my dad pointed out that when my niece turns 21, God willing, he will be 90. And I had to think about it for a second. I was like, when my niece turns 20, I am going to be 56 years old. I'm going to be almost as old as my dad right now, almost as old as my parents right now when my niece graduates from high school, or after she's graduated from high school. I suppose that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the that I hesitated to talk about was the passage of time. I'm 36 years old and I still live with my parents, and I only have a part-time job, and the only thing I do is surf the internet, play a couple of video games, and collect toys from another country. And I think I mentioned in the Combiner Wars video that my sister being pregnant, and now that I have my first niece, hopefully not just my first niece, um, having her in my arms reminds me how far I still have to go, or rather, how far behind I am. I'm 4 years older than my sister, and it 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 makes me pause, and it almost makes me cry how far behind I am and how little I've accomplished. Who is Ava Unit 4A? He's a guy who he sits around and faps on the computer all day long. I don't know what he does. He did some stuff for that one website that nobody looks at anymore. That's all I've got to my name. That's all that I've accomplished. That's all the notoriety I'm ever going to have for as long as the internet's around. I'm not going to be remembered for anything. I haven't contributed to society really. So yeah, that was. I need to shift gears. I just spent the last hour, talking about stuff, and now I'm doing it all over again. So anyway, speaking of things that I really don't like, oh god damn it. So anyways, speaking of things that I really don't like, I briefly mentioned in the previous video that I don't like the direction that Star Trek is currently going, or rather, Star Trek Only a Name is going right now. And let's see, today is Thursday. A week ago, last Friday, um, I went out to Alderwood Mall, and I did a thing there with some other people with Asperger's syndrome. By the way, it's a small local support group that I recently found. Am I going to get involved with them? I'm not sure. So this is an outing to see what they're like on the road. Anyways, we did a thing at Alderwood Mall, and when I was in the area, I stopped at a A store is called Think Geek. I'll post a link in the description if they have a website. I'm guessing they do. And I picked myself up the antithesis of I can't see my screen. The antithesis of the current incarnation of not Star Trek, and that is the Orville. I've mentioned it a couple of times. So this is the Union Fleet shirt they've got, and they haven't shown most of these. In fact, oops, right, you need both hands. Let's see. That is the Orville. They've never shown this, and I don't think they've shown any of these. So this shirt is pure conjecture. It's just whatever. They may have plans for it, but I don't know. But anyways, there's the Orville herself. That's the class of ship that she is. So anyways, yeah, I've got this. $22. Not bad, not bad. But I noticed there's no STD shirts. There was no Star Trek anything in that store, like new Star Trek content. There's like TOS, TNG, stuff like that. Maybe I didn't see any DS9, whatever. But there was nothing from STD. There was nothing from any of the live action, right? The JJ verse movies, or the Kelvin timeline, as I like to call it. There was nothing. There's no new Star Trek content. So yeah. So anyways, I picked this up as a sign of protest. So yeah, and I wore it to church. Unfortunately, nobody recognized it, but I wore it to church. So yes. Well, no, I wore it to work, is what I should say. Anyways, oh right. So before I got that shirt last week, it was about a week before that. I mentioned previously, or I mentioned in the other video, that I'm kind of limited in the types of video games that I play, because right now I'm just playing Guild Wars 2 and MechWarrior Online. Before that, it was SD Gundam Capsule Fighter, rest in peace, even though it's bittersweet. And then before that, even though I don't have any videos of it, I also played X Steel for a number of years. But anyways, I mentioned that I do still collect Lego, and I don't know how I feel about doing Lego unboxings. Like, I want to do unboxings, but like, I don't know how to do it. I've watched a number of them, and most of them are just reviews. They're not actual assembly because it's like fast forward and then me yakking. So if you like me doing unboxings and builds involving Lego, please let me know if you do or if you don't want me to do that. So, anyways, I picked this up online a couple of weeks ago. And for those of you who don't know, this is the AI mecha known as Bastion from I believe it's a third person shooter. No, it's either first or third person shooter. I think it depends on the camera setting. It might be a first person shooter of Overwatch. Yes, the Overwatch brand has now branched into Lego. So this was just released a couple of weeks ago. This was released at beginning of January. That's how long this has been around. So this is Bastion. This is I don't know a lot about it. Apparently, the whole point of the video game, well, the history, the lore of the video game is that it was a war of the machines. Big surprise. And this was one of millions of soldiers, millions of robotic soldiers that fought in that war. And for whatever reason, it managed to survive to the end of the war. And as a result of that, it is now one of the playable characters when it came out. So, anyways, that's the story behind this thing, and it's contrary to what you see here. I should really get another light going. I didn't think about that. It's down. Cool. Contrary to what you may see here, it is not a reverse leg. Here's the hip, here's the knee, and here's a second. Here's the ankle, and then here's the secondary foot. Here's the actual foot, or whatever it is. So it's not a chicken walker, but it does come with a chicken. Kind of. Bastion strikes up a relationship, or a friendship, kind of a peculiar relationship with a wild bird of some kind, a songbird of some kind. So that's what this is. And so it's a machine with a heart of gold kind of scenario, but he's willing to defend his friends if something comes up, blah blah blah. So that's what Bastion is in a nutshell. Like, he likes nature, but he's a machine built for war. It's that kind of thing. So that's pretty much all you need to know about Bastion. It's a little more complicated than that. Although I did really enjoy the introductory cinematic, the announcement video when they released Bastion. So there was nothing particularly thrilling about the build. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of the bird. The bird does have a name. I just don't know it. I'm gonna get it out of the way. Um, Nothing particularly out of the ordinary. Definitely echoes of Exoforce, which God, I miss Exoforce. That dissolved into a bunch of nothing by the end of the third year. Um, I still have all my Exoforce sets. But anyways, there's ratcheting joints in the shoulders, ball joint. Well, it's more of a friction joint, not necessarily a ball joint. I guess it'd be a swivel only joint. I guess in each elbow. The head is two friction joints, and there's also a Lego light brick built in. When Bastion's in his normal mode, non-combat mode, all the sensors, which not all of them are represented. There's sensors in the shoulders here. There's sensors in the turret. Actually, there's another sensor right there on the front. By the way, no, this is not a cockpit hatch. It's just the only way they could get the parts to slant properly. So no, that's not a cockpit hatch. It's not. It's a completely autonomous thing. It's an AI controlled robot. It is not a piloted mech suit because human stands about that tall. So actually, yeah, humans about that tall. So um, so anyways, the head has friction only joints. It can look up, it can look down. But oh yeah, the sensors. Anyways, there are supposed to be sensors all over the place. At least in the CGI figure there are. But in this kit, the only sensor you get is there and then in the face. So when he goes into combat mode, his all of his sensors will turn red. Then you know he's in series mode. I made that joke. Serious mode. He's in serious mode at that point. No, not that serious. Um, for oh yeah, I was talking about articulation. He has a ball joint in his waist, but his torso does not tilt back and forth. It is there. There's a ball joint in there, but it is purely for the friction, not for articulation. It's a strange choice. He has double ratchet joints at his hips, which is a peculiar choice. And then here's where I've got the problem with the figure, and kind of the reason, which I didn't know about. I did not research this very far. I just kind of saw a giant robot, Lego, I'm in. That's the reason I got it. But anyways, the problem I've got with this is kind of the same problem that Lego has done for many years. Are you going out? No. Is that it looks like it has a bunch of joints, but in actuality, it doesn't. And that's the problem I've got here. Bastion, has full leg movement. Like I said, he's got his ankle joint here, and then he's got, a second ankle joint right there, which also ratchets, by the way. But the problem is there's a panel here, which you're supposed to be able to unfold. That's his second ankle joint. But when this panel is folded back like it should be right now, you get no ankle. There's no ankle articulation. But here's the thing that pisses me off. There is a hip. There is a second ankle, but or there's single ankle, but there is not a joint here and there's not a joint here. So the only articulation you get, and I have to be careful I don't smush the parts, is a heavy ratchet right there. One more, one more, and then a not so forgiving ratchet there. Now it does have an ankle tilt to either side, but it's kind of limited in what you could do. So it's nothing really to write home about. And then you can also, because it's such a weird. Let's see, how can I show it? I'm trying to show it. Let's see. Here's the here's the hip joint, but then it has double ratcheting hip joints here. So the hip joints are really good. He's really good at ratcheting outwards, and it's really good that way and that way. But you can't really pose with it. He can splay his legs a little bit and he can lean forward a little bit. After that, he falls over. So while it has a couple of joints, unfortunately, it just doesn't have the articulation necessary to make this really, really work. It does have a ratcheting joint in the shoulder, and it can fold outwards, but it's one of those cases where like the shoulder is tilted inwards anytime you use it. It only ratchets like this. So it gets in the way. So articulation on this is disappointing. You would think for something this big that it would have had better articulation, especially in the legs. It needs knees and it needs that second ankle joint, but it doesn't have it, unfortunately. The head is fine. The shoulders are forgivable. The waist joint is required. The other thing I've noticed is Bastion, he holds a gun in the video game, but in this version, the gun is his hand. Now, why it is that, oops, why he's got a thumb here, he's got a friction thumb. I don't know why that's there, because it's not a targeting scope, it's not a loading hatch, it's nothing like that. The gun actually doesn't look barely anything like that. It's got this little orange thing here. It's kind of a scope or whatever it is, but or it's a sighting, but that's it. He actually holds a machine gun in his right hand, and he's not here because the machine gun is his hand, and it's a very underwhelming and very undersized weapon. I'm not happy with it. So not that it should be removable, but it should have been at least a hand holding a machine gun, and it's not here. So that's something that's also disappointing. The right hand has three ball joints. He has a thumb and two independent fingers, and he also has a friction wrist swivel. So he can do that, and it's a three-fingered thing. Okay, now here's the thing. The Lego figure has three fingers, but I can understand why. Because Bastion in the video game has five fingers. I'm sorry, he has four fingers and a thumb. This version has only two fingers and a thumb. So, considering the size of the figure, yeah, I can understand. So it's either to go with a completely molded fist like this, which they have done, which they can do, or do something that has articulating fingers and allows you to attach the little bird character, which is a very, very tiny bird figure. So very tiny. Easy to get lost is my point. A lot of tiny pieces on it. So, I'm not going to yell too loudly about him having three fingers versus, or I'm sorry, it having three fingers versus, or two fingers versus having four. So, whatever. In Overwatch, which I've never played, which I know next to nothing about, other than that it's a post-apocalyptic War of the Machines, or after the War of the Machines. That's what the game is. Um, Other than that, I don't know a whole lot, and I've never played it. But Bastion is capable of transforming into three different forms. He can form as robot mode, an immobile turret, and a tank mode. Unfortunately, just because, well, reality, this version of Bastion only has two modes. He can do robot mode and he can do turret mode. He does not have the ability to go to tank mode. There's no accessory parts, there's no swapping out, there's no anything like that. If you want to MOC this shit, you are welcome to it, but just know that it's only the turret mode. And the turret mode is accessible in the game. So all you're going to do is you're going to fold up his arms. I'm not entirely certain how accurate the transformation is. All I know is you fold up the arms, and they tell you to remove the head. Fortunately, the head is on a peg system, so you can easily remove the head. None of that, folding down or anything like that stuff. So you fold up both arms, you make them straight. Let's see, are these both? No, they are not. So you're going to make them straight. You got to make them straight. There we go. And then the only reason it has a waist swivel is so that you can move the legs out of the way of the elbows, which I suppose he does have surprisingly thick thighs. No, not that thick. So you're going to rotate around the torso 180. And again, it's on a ball joint, but it doesn't have that universal bending. It's strictly as used for the friction. Anyways, let's see. Okay. So you're going to fold up the knee armor, the ratcheted knee armor. You're going to fold open the ankle guards, which are friction ankle guards. And then you're going to fold up you're going to fold those up so they ratchet. And then you're going to collapse down the legs. And then you're going to take this giant Gatling cannon, turn it around 180, and there you have Bastion in his turret mode. And again, a human stands about that tall compared to this. No, actually, I think a human would be a lot smaller. Now that I think about it, because like D.Va, D.Va, which, funny, whatever, she pilots a mech suit that is the same size as Bastion, so humans are actually a lot smaller than Bastion now that I think about it. But anyways, yes, there is his turret mode. Oh, no, I forgot there's one thing. You have to fold the friction, the lightweight friction shoulder armor forward. Okay, there you go. Now that's his turret mode. And the barrel does turn. And this is supposed to be the ammunition drum, but it's quite pathetic compared to what it actually is in the game. The Overwatch video game symbol is located right there. So it's real tiny. It's only one stud wide. So yeah, here's his turret mode. Don't ask me how his tank mode transforms, because I don't know. It's one of those blink and you miss it type transformations. So yeah, there's his turret mode, and then you can turn that. So yeah, okay, that's kind of neat. That was neat when I found it. And he's stable enough, but it's there's two things that bug me. One, the articulation, which I've already gone over, and the other thing is that he's a bit on the disproportionate side. His arms are really tiny, and his legs are like really wide. They're really each leg is thicker. The arms, the thickness of the arms are too small, and they're also too short. So I don't like the proportions of things that happen here. So those are kind of two big things. Like, is this a bad kit for like little kids? No, not necessarily. If you like Legos and articulated robots, this will scratch the itch. But in terms of screen accuracy, he's got the colors and he's got some of the shapes. But does he have the proportions and the articulation? No, he does not. If you want that, you're probably going to have to buy an action figure that I'm completely not aware of. So that's the reason why I didn't cover Bastion. And yes, you absolutely can attach his head in turret mode. It's just that I'm assuming the head folds down when it's in turret mode. So, I'm not gonna comment on that. So, like, it's designed to come off, but it doesn't in the actual video game thing. So yep, there is Bastion. It's fine. It's okay. Whatever. So the T-shirt, Bastion. What was the other thing? Other than that, what was the other thing? I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Okay. So the same shirt, the same shop that I got the Orville shirt from. I just didn't have the money to buy the other one at the time, so because I made the mistake of buying this. The main reason why I wanted to make this video is because Bandai America. I haven't bought anything from Bandai America since 2010 when I got the Samurai Mega Blade from Power Rangers Samurai. That's the last Bandai of America product I ever bought. Well, that's no longer the case because I picked up the Zeonizer. Now, I was debating whether to get this or not. Like, don't get me wrong. This is my favorite. This is my favorite wrist changer out of all of Power Rangers, out of all of Super Sentai. This is it. This is my favorite by far. Yeah, it does only one thing, but it does it really darn well, and it's really fun. And Zeo Go, Zeo. So, like, I really, really enjoy this to this day, and I would not have put $100 into it. This cost me $100, by the way, because I bought it in a shop, in ThinkGeek or whatever it is. So it was probably cheaper online. It was probably cheaper when it first came out, whatever. But it is collector's grade. Damn, that's what I forgot to do. I'm gonna leave that running. I forgot to prep properly for the video. Like, I was going to talk about, not being in a good place. I was going to talk about Bastion, the T-shirt, and I was also going to rant about STD and Orville for a bit. Oh my God, Orville! They just had their first two-parter that they debuted in their second season. I'm not going to talk about it, but oh my God, the Orville is definitely Star Trek. There is no doubt in my mind. Well, it's a rip-off of Next Generation. A, clearly you never saw the first season of Next Generation, and B, you have no idea what makes good Star Trek if you think that the Orville is terrible. Oh, I forgot. You were totally paid off by CBS. Okay, so anyways, the Zeonizer. I forgot to do my prep work. I've had the original Zeonizer for well over 10 years at this point. I had the Zeonizer when I reviewed. It's very dusty, I'm sorry. I had the Zeonizer when I reviewed all the Zeozords for CollectionDX.com. When I reviewed all of them, I had this. And does it still have the. Where's the battery? Does it? Maybe I'll remove the battery. That might be the case. But anyways, yeah, I had this when I reviewed the Zeozords back in 2007, 2008-ish. No, 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 no. I reviewed them in 2010. Yeah, because I was working on the Zeozords when Josh came to me and said, "Hey, can you review the Ghost Sager bullshit?" Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. So anyways, yeah, I've got this, but the only reason why I didn't review it then and why I haven't reviewed it since is kind of the thing that all toy collectors kind of have to deal with. The strap doesn't reach. Now I can, let's see, I can very carefully suck it up and threaten to break the plastic frame. I can actually get it onto my wrist. Let's see, is that right? Yeah. But it's barely holding on there. Like it's already threatening. If I flex my wrist in any way, and even then, it's around the actual joint, it's around my actual wrist. It's not up here on the forearm where it should be. So I can. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. It also makes attaching the other one equally difficult. So if I put it around my actual wrist, and this was the case even 10 years ago, gaining weight has nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's not going to fit well either. So I can indeed do the thing, but it's very, very tiny. It's actually quite uncomfortable because you know how Velcro works. Yeah. So yeah, I do have the Zeonizer, and yay, whatever. But the wrist straps are so small, and I'm not a seamstress, so I can't put together a wrist extension. I can't. So if anybody knows how to make a Velcro wrist extension that doesn't permanently damage the official product, if you can come up with something like that, or if I can find an outright, replacement just to completely remove the strap and stick a replacement in there and stick these in the back of the box, which are in here. If you can tell me where to find one of those, that would be awesome. Or I could just buy the collector grade version, see if that works out for me. So, the Legacy Zeonizer. The reason I got this is not to support the last gasp of Bandai America. That's not why I bought it. It occurred to me that because Hasbro is a direct competitor with Bandai of Japan, and that this is a Bandai of America product, and Bandai of America designed and built this, they would not be able to reissue this in Japan as a Power Rangers product. They wouldn't be able to use the molds, specifically because Power Rangers is now owned by Hasbro. So they would not be able to take a Power Rangers product as now owned by Hasbro, turn it over to Japan, and release it as the Power Bracer from O-Ranger. I realized this probably will never be reissued in Japan, like they had with the Dino Buckler, like they did with the. Actually, the Dino Buckler was the only one that they reissued because the next one up would have been this. So when I realized that this probably would not become Super Sentai Artisan, okay, I can't wait. I can't like I saw it originally as Zeo, and yes, I did watch O-Ranger, and I did like O-Ranger, and I've forgotten pretty much everything that I saw in O-Ranger because it's been a year and a half at this point. When I realized that this is probably not going to be reissued in Japan under the O-Ranger branding, I like, okay, I need to get it. I can't wait anymore. So it had nothing to do with supporting the last gasp of Bandai America. There is a reason why I didn't buy any other stuff. Is this a window box? No, it is not. So yeah, and ironically, a half hour later, I saw a Legacy Dragon Dagger, and I'm like, oh, I'm not that big a fan of the Dragon Ranger, or Dragon Ranger. I'm not that big a fan of Green Ranger. Like, yeah, I was all about the Green Ranger hype back in the day, but I'm not obsessed that Tommy Oliver is the only Ranger and the best Ranger that ever existed. Shut the fuck up about that already. So, anyways, yeah, here's the. Actually, I gotta kill off the reflection if I can. So there it is in the box. There's a clamshell. It's a very lightweight clamshell. It looks like a collector product. I mean, compared to the Legacy Power Morpher and Blade Blaster that I have, which I've already gone over, compared to those boxes, this is definitely collector. It's low quality collector grade. Which, if that makes any sense, like it's not felt. It's not a window box. There's not a painted background. It's nothing like that. It's just bam. Oh, I hope this has batteries in it. Does it? This is a completely new mold, and oh yeah, I can feel the die-cast metal in it. I can feel that die-cast metal. Now, the original Zeonizer had die-cast as well, but it was far more limited. And even the Power Bracer back in from O-Ranger, the only die-cast metal is this part that flips open. That's the only piece that has die-cast. So this new section definitely has die-cast in it. The original version did not. But it activates the same way. So this silver surround piece is metal. And the silver and gold. Is the gold painted on? Yeah, the gold is painted on. The gold is, and sorry for the reflection, the gold is painted on, but all of the silver is die-cast metal. So, and that has a reflective mirror in it, as it should. That needs to go downwards, right? Yeah. So it pops on and off exactly the same way. So here's the question: does it fit me? Oh, they did the O-Ranger symbol there. I guess technically it's Zeorangers. So here's the question: will it? Let's see. Okay, so the question is, even though this is marketed 15 and up, the question is, did they compensate for adults? And the answer is they did. There's actually some breathing room in here. I can actually get my wrist to function here. Yay! Only had to wait 20 years. Let's see, 95 to 2019. Yeah! Yes! Ooh, that's a little tight. I think I was a little overzealous there. But it allows me. Like the other one, if I flex my wrist in the slightest, the original kid version, you could hear the Velcro tearing apart, or not tearing apart, but you could hear the Velcro was giving. With this, it's not a problem anymore. So it's kind of on the edge. But like, yeah, okay, they left enough room in there for adult collectors, so that's good. So you actually can use this. Yay! And I can actually get it away from my wrist. My wrist has full range of motion now, so woohoo! Is there like a demo version? Okay. The on-off switch is located. Oops. The on-off switch is located underneath the strap. You know, the strap is a. I'm gonna. Okay, you have to turn it on. So in other words, yes, you have to turn it on before you put it on your wrist. Where is? There it is. Of course, being the fuzzy wuzzy that I am, is it fair to say that? I don't remember how that rhyme goes. Being the hairy guy that I am, I'm definitely going to get my. I'm definitely going to get some arm hair caught in there. Ugh. So, after, what did I say, 20, 25 years of waiting, I finally got a Zeonizer that actually fits me properly. And it has die-cast metal in all the right parts. Let's see, is this? Okay, so this part, the round dial thing that flips up, that is die-cast metal again. Although it's chromed this time, it's not. Oh, I guess they're both versions are chrome, yeah. But the this gold section here, this is not gold. So just so you know, or it's not metal. This is metal. This is not. See, yeah, that's the round thing here is metal, but this stuff is not. So okay. But the silver has been painted on again, so that's okay. That's acceptable. I guess I would have preferred if this had been gold, but maybe it's like, oh, we got to cut our costs somewhere, considering we've got two pieces of metal in here and one in here. It's like, oh, maybe it wasn't enough, and they couldn't get the metal to work with the electronics, so I can't speak to that. So, I can already tell this material doesn't like me very much. So in case you haven't noticed, Motion sensor. Nice. So that's cool. Got a motion sensor there. No electronics in here, by the way. At least I don't think there. I'll be stunned if there are. Maybe I should have looked. I doubt it. I don't think there's enough room. You've got to get a spring mechanism in there. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, you got a motion sensor, and when you move it, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actual. Oh, there we go. Glows red. Maybe I should take a look at the instructions. Just to be sure. Yeah, typical Bandai America instructions. They don't tell you what you need to know, and they don't tell you what you do need to know. Adult assembly required at 15 years of age. Using a small screwdriver. 3 LR44s. 3 LR44s. So they're just watch batteries in here. Okay. Do not aim toy at anyone. Hit anyone with toy. Poke anyone with toy. There's a timer on it. If you don't use it for long enough, it makes a noise. Let's see if it does it again. Swing a toy at anyone. Step on toy. Be careful not to pinch fingers with hinged parts of toy. By the way, that sound effect you just heard, diddly 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 diddly, is the exact same sound that you hear in the original. Alright, I forgot I removed the batteries. Smart me. The reminder sound that you hear in this is the exact same sound that you hear when this thing was turned on. When the button was depressed and the light was flashing, the exact same sound came out of here just now. I'm glad they preserved that. I'm glad they did that. That's a nice throwback. By the way, that's the exact same sound that the original Power Bracer from O-Ranger had. It's the exact same sound. So anyways, let's see. They don't. Do they mention that? Oh, they do mention it. Okay. That's not very clear. Okay. Anyways, so I'm going to put this away. I wonder why I made that sound and it hasn't done it since. Anyways, so... Whoa, hello. Oh. It turned itself off? It turned itself off. How about that? It didn't physically move the switch, but it did turn itself off. So it looks like it powers off after about a minute or so. I would have to time it, but wow, I didn't know that. If you don't use it for about a minute, it turns itself off. Neat. Now it works. Okay. So anyways, it's not very clear. Like it points out, it's like, oh, by the way, you can also do this. It's more concerned about how you attach the thing and how you plug it in like that. Anyways, the Zyuranger symbol, which is located right there, can turn. That's how you control the different sound effects in this thing. So right now, it is set up for Zyuranger 5 red. So if I plug it in like this, here we go. Oh, that's awesome. Sounds pretty much the same. I'm going to turn this off so you can see it a little better. Oops. If I could get these wrist straps a little tighter, it wouldn't be as awkward to do this. But that's okay. Cool. Oh, I should have turned it like this, but oh well. So that's awesome. I'm kind of surprised they didn't supply all 5. Well, let's see. I don't think, you know that thing that Super Sentai and Power Rangers do, where regardless of which roleplay toy you use, if it's a common weapon that's used by all of them, it's usually colored red. You know, the Versus Changer, it didn't have blue on it, it didn't have green on it, it didn't have yellow on it. It had orange and it had red, but it didn't have, and it had white, but it didn't have any of the other Ranger colors. So that's kind of the thing where the common weapon or the common accessory um, always red, just because reasons and stuff. Um, the exact same thing applies here, although I don't remember if the Zeo crystals, and I forgot what they're called in O Ranger, but I can't remember if the crystals were also. That's the sound. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I can't remember if the Zeo crystals were different colored, but I can't remember if the O Ranger versions were also colored. I don't remember. So that would determine whether I complain or not about not having 5 crystals provided as opposed to just the red one. So I honestly don't remember. Well, it hurts to hold my wrist that way. Okay. So anyways, I mentioned there's a little dial that turns here. Oh, and the speaker is located here. Speaker is located. No reflection. There we go. Okay. So if you turn it, and I don't know which way to turn it, so come on. Work with me. It turned. Okay. So we get pink. And if it's pink, it becomes this. Ouch. So now it's pink. Let's see. Now does the color change? Oh yeah, the motion sound effects. So now it glows pink instead of red. Cool. Okay, so now it's yellow. So that one. I wonder how that looks. Yellow through red. Not a very good combo. And then okay, so if I put green on red, it's going to come out what, brown, I think? Lock that in. Hmm. Interesting. Oh! Oh, I totally didn't realize it. Okay. You know that question I had earlier about whether the crystals were all the same color or not, or, if they were all red or if they weren't? Oh, I totally didn't know this. So it turns out there is a mirror sit on the inside. It's like a periscope. The light shines through here, and then it comes out the top. What I didn't realize until just now is that even though this is red plastic, there's actually an extra window in the top that is clear. It's not colored red. And I totally didn't know that. So indeed, if you put the crystal on the top like you're supposed to do for the morphing sequence, you will indeed get the proper color shining through here. So that's why. Okay. That's that's good. That's not what the original one had. The original one was strictly red and that was it. Because, it didn't change colors. The original one is so lightweight all of a sudden. Alright. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so you can see the original version, it's completely red on this side. But this version, It has a red outline, but it's not red. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's actually, God, I wish Bandai America had been doing that for years with the rest of their toy line. And you wouldn't even have to be a collector to be able to enjoy something like that. That's neat. I like that. And then you turn it one more time. Now it made another sound a moment ago. Now here it flashed white and said it's morphin time, so I don't know what's going to happen here. I screwed it up. Okay, now I want you to stop. The point is, it plays the completed theme song. The first variation of MMPR, the best variation of MMPR. Shut your face. Okay, there we go. You can interrupt it. Whew. Okay, cool. Okay. I might actually leave it on that setting. Oh, that's cool. I'll say this much: Super Sentai Artisan, each of their henshin devices or whatever it is, they have three modes. There's the TV, or there's the original toy version sound effects, and then there's like an extended version that has like sounds from the actual show itself, and then there's a third version that has like dialogue re-recorded by the original actors. So I can imagine that wouldn't have been a difficult thing to do with this, but this is simple enough you can actually program more sounds and more lights into it. So this is kind of like, I don't see it getting much better than this. The wrist, I wish the strap had been a little longer so I could wrap it around a little more, make it a little more secure. But I can live with what's here. The fact that they managed to integrate additional sounds in there, that's exactly what we wanted. Do I want, it's morphin time, and do I want all? I think the only thing that's lacking here. I think I'll just let it die at that point. The only thing I miss is I wish there'd been, and I say this even for the original Zeonizer, or power brace, I think is what it was called. The only thing I miss is that, that thing I was talking about earlier about the medium of like going from role play to mecha. I wish that the Zeo crystal, or whatever the equivalent is in Ohranger, had been set up in such a way so that, okay, good, I've not been talking to myself for the last 50 minutes. Got another two long videos in a row. Anyways, there was one thing you would see. They would take the crystal off and then they'd stick it on the control console right in front of them, and then it would be there all the time. I wish that the original version and this updated legacy version had had some form of that. Where, can I push on this and have it pop out? I guess not. Okay. So anyways, I wish there had been some way back in 90, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 96 when Power Ranger Zeo came out, 95 when Ohranger came out. I wish there had been some way for them to get this crystal involved, because I mean it's supposed to come off, but you don't attach it to anything. It's just kind of, that's it. That's all it does. And here it is, almost an hour ago now. I was complaining about the mediums. How they go from the role play stuff to the mecha, and here it is. I'm complaining that, I wish they would have done that back in '95. It's weird how that's come around to bite us in the ass. You know. So yep, I got a Zeonizer. Yay! I got a Zeonizer that actually fit. Oh wait, there we go. Oh, I had it in backwards. Okay. So yay, Oh yeah. By the way, the other reason why I didn't review the other reason why I didn't review the Zeonizer back in 2010ish when I was reviewing the other Zeozords is because the only way to show this off is if I would have been on camera. Shit. The only way is if I would have done this properly in front of a camera. And the thing is, I really didn't want to put my face on camera on CDX at the time. So, I didn't have this channel at the time. Okay, it's time for you to turn off. Yay. I'm glad I got this. I kind of hope that Super Sentai Artisan gets the power bracer. I kind of hope they do. That'd be nice if they did. But that Velcro goes all the way up there. Yay. I love that solid chunk. Like, I can't convey that in a video, but the feeling of having the thing come forward because it's so weighty, it comes forward and then inertia kind of drags the thing a little bit like this. Ah, that's so satisfying. And it looks great. I kind of wish just the interior ring there. I wish that silver in there had been a little more detailed, but I can live with what's there. I can live with what's there. I'm not that unpleasable. So, yay. I'm about this close to getting whatever the morpher is called for the new beast morphers. I'm about that close because it has the little glasses thing that the Go Buster, whatever that thing was called, the henshin device from Go Busters. It has the thing that folds up, but it's got this additional key thing, and it's got motion sensor, and it's got sound effects that change depending on which key you stick in there. Wow, that's like collector grade type stuff. So, yay, yay. Am I gonna watch Beast Morphers? Sure, I'll give it a shot. I gave what was it? Dino Charge. I gave Dino Charge a shot. I only saw the first season. I didn't get to see Super, or I didn't. I did not pursue Super Dino Charge. Shame on me. So yeah, I would not mind visiting that. Yay! I finally get to wear this. I finally get to use this. Now all we have to do is wait for the legacy version of the gun and or the blaster and the baton that they used. You could put the two together. I still want that. That's one of my favorite roleplay that I never got. The O Ranger, the Power Ranger Zeo version, or the original 95-96 toy, surprisingly fragile and hard to come by, and the white is more than a little yellowed at this point. So, uh, but yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I got this, and yeah, I do still want to get that. But yeah, kind of beyond that, I'm pretty much done with anything I want from Zeo or O Ranger. Actually, I've got absolutely nothing from O Ranger at this point. I would have gotten the O Ranger version of these if I'd had the choice, but I'm this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like I knew you could. I knew I had different colors in here, but I didn't know how you. I recently learned how you switch the thing, but like I don't imagine that the O Ranger version would have been any better or worse than this. And for a collector grade thing, this is not disappointing. And they put an extended wrist straps on it. So, yay! This looks like actual leather, by the way. I don't comment on that material very often, but yeah, it looks like actual leather. So this may withstand the test of time. Same thing as those. It's very much a different material from those. Was there something else I was going to comment on? See, I did the T-shirt, I did Bastion, I did these, I did the huge, not political depression. What is my life thing? Which, oh gosh, it's an hour and or it's 58 minutes 40 seconds right there. Although this one's going to be edited down a little more than the previous one, so it's still going to be a long video. Sorry. Am I going to get anything from Ryusoulger? I don't know. Right now, I'm thinking the wrist changer, maybe the sword, probably Kishiryu. I might go for Kishiryu 3 Knights, and I do want the green colored one. But that's kind of all I'm into right now. I've seen they have a Dimetrodon, or it's not a Dimetrodon. It's a different kind of dinosaur. Max, what was the name of that dinosaur again? Anyways, I'm not interested in that. It has over-the-shoulder cannons, but they're kind of shit over-the-shoulder cannons, and I have no idea what the weapons are that it's carrying. So I'm already not happy where the. Maybe I should make a video about this, the Wave 2 stuff. I don't know. But we already know there's a Gold Ranger on the way, and we haven't seen his mecha yet. We know it's on the way, but we haven't seen it yet. So they're probably posting it as I'm doing this. Or maybe they'll do it this weekend. I don't know. Okay, oh, I am so broke and I'm running out of space. Gosh, now I've got the original Zeonizer, but now I've got the collector grade Zeonizer. What am I going to do with this? Take the batteries out of it and put it into storage? Maybe. I don't know. I got this secondhand, by the way, so. Alright, I need to shut up. I've wasted way too much time on this and I'm rambling, and I need to get dinner in the crock pot. Found a nice turkey and, or not turkey, whatever. Shut up, Ava. Okay, so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in, and I'm sincerely sorry that I made 2-hour-long videos. But I like to provide context. I like to provide flavor, so that's the only way I can do this. Ava, are you going to review the Ryusoulger stuff for CDX? I have an idea for how I might be able to do it, but I need to investigate a little further, and it just recently came to my attention. Like, the only way I could do it right now at this point is to set up the whiteboard on my bed. But the tricky part is not the whiteboard or, like the angle of the whiteboard on the bed itself. The question is, how can I create a clean background? Because that's been the thing that's been holding me back for, well, years at this point. I'm chewing on it. I'm not entirely certain. If I can get a shooting location set up, and it would have to be in here at this point, that doesn't have, the echoes of wooden floors and vaulted ceilings. They're not vaulted. Yeah, they are. It's a slanted ceiling downstairs. And not be interrupted by phone calls and parents going back and forth. If I can get a clean a clean shooting environment, yeah, I want to review again. I've got the itch. I've got the itch back. Am I going to be any good at it? We'll see. I don't want to get hopes up, but like I'm chewing on it. I'm chewing on the idea. Like how can I do it? Okay, maybe I can do this. 1 hour and 2 minutes. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in.